Our next speaker is Dr. Charles Foust, the superintendent of New Hanover County Schools. Earlier this year, I was in a couple meetings with Dr. Foust, and he could barely contain his excitement because he had just received the test results from the State Department of Education, but he wasn't able to share them yet. The results showed that 36 of 40 New Hanover County schools met or exceeded standards for academic growth, and 5 schools came off the list of low-performing schools. Overall, 14 schools increased a letter grade in the rankings. Dr. Foust is here today to talk about these achievements and pursuing academic excellence. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Foust to the stage. Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. So when I get in front of individuals, I like to, this is my second time, but most of the time, for the first time, and I need, can we start at a negative 15 so this doesn't count towards me? I like to share something that you probably didn't know, and it actually embodies who I am. So I used to play baseball, and I either batted first or second. And so with that, I used to get nervous when I used to have to bat second. And it was because, the first batter is a base hitter, and it's like a base hitter. If you know the sport, it's like that'll get 2 around and those types of things. So I was always thinking, all I need to do is get on base. But if the bat hits if the barrel of the bat hits the wrong part of the ball, it's going to be a grounder. So hitting second, I could actually make us get a double play or make the other team get a double play. So what I would have to do is ensure it's okay, Charles, go up the middle, go up the middle, go up the middle. Even though my coach would be on the third base and he would have these hand gestures, in my head, I'm like, go up the middle, go up the middle. So what actually happened out of that, and I'm going to get to the point you're going to understand and you're going to be able to work with me, is that in leadership, oftentimes we have to go straight up the middle. And you can't think about what's on the left of you or the right of you. So in a leadership position, as superintendent, we walk through a whole lot, but just understand that when I'm leading, I'm going up the middle. And so oftentimes, we have to think about how, why, and where. So, back in June of 2020, I was sitting at the BOE interviewing for a position that I didn't know had so many things on the left and on the right. All I knew is go up the middle. So what you're going to learn today is how we went straight up the middle. And I know that if you go up the middle and you go hard up the middle, it'll get you at least 2 bases. So I'm going to stand back here because when I was asked to do this, and when we put together this and I wanted some authentic pictures, it brought back the emotion of 2020 and what it looked like. So what I want you to do is pay attention to the screen and then just listen to my voice. So, when I took the helm as superintendent in September of 2020, this is what learning looked like. I know many of you remember it. This is what our teaching staff looked like. The world was gripped by uncertainty, and there were dark shadows of pain and distrust cast over our schools. As leaders, we know that some things are out of our control. A global pandemic, the story the media chooses to tell about you, the actions of a few that harm many. But it's the dark times that make you either give up or plant seeds of growth and change what you have and the power to change. In an act of faith to plant those seeds, I knew from the day one that this school district could be among the most excellent in the state, and this community would support us if we showed you that what we were doing was hard work, but we would make it happen. I actually said that in the interview. We just needed a plan. I remember sitting in my office back in September when I first got here, and I asked the team, what's the plan to bring students back? What's the plan to bring the teachers back into the classroom? I'm going to tell you something. There wasn't one. So if you know me, if you've ever worked with me, you know I probably exited everyone from my office, and I said, I'll do it myself. So if you also know me, I make my best notes on a napkin. This is the napkin. I shut the door and grabbed the first thing I could find to write on, which was exactly this napkin. And that's where I scrawled out a plan to return students in person. We planted that seed. I know, we knew that literacy is the foundation for every subject, and that how well kids read is a predictor of everything from school success and graduation rates to breaking out of the poverty generational gap. If we wanted New Hanover County schools to get the real results in student achievement, we needed to completely overhaul our reading instruction. We needed it to be science-based, and we needed it to know that every kid in our district, despite or in spite of their zip code, was getting the same excellent reading instruction. We led the charge for a new reading curriculum and rigorous teacher training. And believe me, it was not an easy sell to our staff, to our board, but I planted the seed. And I knew that we had some of the best teachers on this side of the coast, on this side of this land. And we did what we had to do to make sure that teachers were free from distraction and the busy work, that they could push instruction and learning to the next level. We removed barriers in their schedule, and we told them to focus on the most important thing, instruction. Again, we planted the seed. I'm here talking to you today because 2023 has been the year that when that act of faith, the planting of the seeds, paid off in more than what we could have imagined. When we got our state test scores back, our growth was, simply put, extraordinary. 90% of our schools either met or exceeded growth. 18 of those schools exceeded, 18 of those schools exceeded those standards, including Holly Shelter Middle School, which was named the #1 Title I middle school in the state. Hmm. 14 schools increased a letter grade in their state rating, and 5 schools came off the low performing list. 6 of those schools were recognized in the prestigious U.S. News and Record, or News and World Records, top 100 schools. So let me take that back. Prior to that, we had students who were at home. Our students were at 50% proficient in 2020. We sit here today at 61% of our students proficient. And I know that Some of you may not understand. It's like, oh my gosh, that's 40%. That is 40%. But understand that was during a pandemic when other school districts have not recuperated. But we planted the seed. Bellamy Elementary School was named a National Blue Ribbon School. National Blue Ribbon School by the Department of Education in their academic excellence and progress in the closing the achievement gap. Just 8 schools in North Carolina earned that recognition. Yeah. Out of 115 districts in the state, we are number 15. And I believe, and I need you to trust me, that we will be in the top 10. So I've talked about literacy instruction. And in October, we were surprised by the Department of Instruction with the first ever Champions of Change. This was awarded to us from the state. So we call it DPI, Department of Public Instruction. They told us that New Hanover County is leading the way in North Carolina in how to teach reading. We are the example that DPI holds up to other districts, and that they have shown and they have looked at us as having the test scores to back it up. Statewide, New Hanover County is being chosen to pilot innovative things because we are a district that people on the cutting edge want to partner with. DPI chose us to roll out the first electric bus. This was funded through the Volkswagen settlement. We're the first district in the region to get a Spark Lab, a high-tech accelerator program housed at C-Tech High School. We finished our one-to-one devices rollout to our secondary schools, so every high school student, every middle school student has an electronic device, regardless if they did or they didn't have it. We wanted to level the playing field. No matter what kind of resources that they had at home, we needed to do this. We know that the earlier that we start instruction, the greater impact we can have on closing the achievement gap. So we've tripled the number of pre-K centers and students since 2014. Yes. Thank you. And so at the other end of the bookend, we've increased our graduation rate to almost 90%. And while schools across the nation are struggling with teacher shortage, New Hanover County Schools is a draw, attracting the best teachers to live and work in the community. We started the 22-23 school year by this way with having 41 of 45 schools 100% fully staffed. Yes. All of this has brought us attention from the highest levels, with the Governor Cooper visiting our schools. Not once, not twice, but 3 times this year. And he's not here campaigning. He's here because he recognizes the incredible work of what's happening in our district. You know, I said at the beginning that planting those seeds for success we've seen this year was not an act of faith. We had to believe in our resilience as a district and that our ability to emerge from those dark days stronger, more vibrant, and more accomplished than ever. But we also had to believe that you, our community, would have our back. I'm immensely proud of our great achievements. Our educators, our parents, and our community partners. And this is what I want you to understand, that it really does take a village. It takes a village to succeed. I know that there are greater things ahead for our school district and our community, and I believe that we can make our promises and live up to the full potential together. So what I want you to understand is that when playing baseball, sometimes when you get on base, the goal is to get around to home plate. So I used to bat either first or second, but what they also knew is that we had the speed, or I had the speed. So the third base coach would always wave over there and he would say, I need you over here. And though that meant you've got to steal bases. But he would give the sign for me to steal. And I wouldn't do it. And he was like, I didn't feel it. And so in order for me to be able to get around, I had to feel it. So what we had to do is make sure that our educators felt it. We had to make sure that they knew exactly what they were doing, that they were prepared. That meant if we go back to baseball, that we practiced. We changed all of our professional learning communities and how it was done. We made sure that every principal was in a PLC. We made sure that parents knew what their kids were learning. And so it didn't matter if there was a coach on third base. We knew that if they got on base, they had to come around. So what I will say as a leader is that we're going to continue to go forward because we're already on base. So all you have to know is just trust us as educators. Understand that in the leadership that we give is that I don't have to be on third base waving at the teachers anymore. We've prepared them. We've made sure that our students are going to be viable candidates for a college or career. We're making sure that they have the access regardless of their zip code. We're going to make sure that our students have a great impact. And one thing we want to know is that, or we want you to know, is that we will see you at the championship. Every student, every single day, every teacher, every single day, every staff member, every single day, know that we value all of our employees. We value your input. But what we want you to know is just trust us. We will get you to home plate. I want to thank you so much for providing me the opportunity. It took us 3 years, and we're still working. We're not perfect by any means necessary. But one thing I can tell you is that I stand here on the stage. I don't worry about what's going on in the classroom because I know that we've prepped every teacher, every non-certified staff to ensure that every child, regardless of the zip code, shall receive an excellent education. Thank you so much.